Okay, everyone, I realized there was not a review for test one that was posted yet. So my goal is to make that review for you right now, and then I will share the filled out test and a blank test with you on the Blackboard. So if you're taking the paper test, your test will be really similar to this one. This one is test form E. The test you'll get will be either A or B. Um, if you're taking the test online, the problems are supposed to be similar to these because I tried to make them the same, but it'll be in the form of MyMathLab. So you're not going to have A, B, C, or D. It's going to be just like your homework, except you don't get instant feedback until you finish the test. So I'd highly recommend, once again, to take this test on paper and not on MyLab. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and get this over with. So 5x plus 15 equals 0. If we were solving this, we would subtract 15 from both sides. So 15 subtract 15 would be 0 here, and we'd have 5x equals negative 15. Then the opposite of multiplication is division, so we would divide by 5. So x would equal negative 3. Now that I see I'm not going to have enough room to do these on here, here we go. So we have x times 6x subtract 2 equals 6x plus 1 times x subtract 3. So the first thing we're going to do is distribute on this side. So x times 6x is 6x squared. X times a negative 2 would be subtract 2x. 6x times x is 6x squared. 6x times a negative 3 would be negative 18x. 1 times x. 1 times a negative 3. You don't have to put the 1 there either. I'll combine like terms right here, so I have 6x squared subtract 2x equals 6x squared subtract 17x subtract 3. When I go to combine my 6x squares now, they are the same. So when I move 1, they're going to cancel out, or subtract 2 equals 0. So I'd have negative 2x equals negative 17x subtract 3. Negative 2 is greater than negative 17, so I'm going to move my 17x to the negative 2x, which is going to give us 15x equals 3, and then subtract 3. Then we would divide by 15. We're getting x alone. So x would equal negative 3 over 15. But this reduces because 3 goes into both. So I'm going to write reduce beside this. So x equals a negative 1/5. Okay, number 3. We have negative 2x plus 40 equals 2x plus 8. So the first thing I'm going to do is move my x's to the same side. So negative 2x is less than positive 2x. So we're going to add 2x. So I have 40 left on the left side, and 2x plus 2x gives us 4x plus 8. Then we're going to move our 8 because we want x alone on this side. 40 subtract 8 is 32. Then we would divide by our 4. 32 divided by 4 would give us 8 equals x. I haven't worked this out in a long time. I'm going to upload the answer key as well, so you'll have all of it to work out and check. All right, absolute value of x equals 10. absolute value could be a positive or a negative, because when we take the absolute value of it, it would be positive. So this will be positive 10 and negative 10. Okay. So we have 6x subtract 7 over 2x plus 8 equals over 5x plus 5. So the way I'm going to go about this is going to be cross multiplication. We're going to do 5x plus 5 times 6x subtract 7 and 2x plus 8 times 15x subtract 5. There's a couple of different ways you could work this one out though. But since we're not adding or subtracting anything on the outside, this will prove to be the easiest way. Okay, we're going to have big numbers since we didn't factor the 5 out, the 2 out, or the 5 out. So 6x, I should have done it. 6x times 5x will be 30x. 6x times 5, 30x squared will be 30x. Negative 7 times 5x would be subtract 35x. Negative 7 times 5 would be subtract 35. And put my equal sign here, and then we'll write it all out and combine them. All right, so 2x times 15x would be 30x squared. 2x times a negative 5 would be subtract 10x. 8 times 15x would be 120x. And 8 times 5 would be 40, and since it was subtract 5, it'll be subtract 40. Right, now I'm going to combine these terms as I rewrite this. So we have 30x squared subtract 5x, I'm looking at this one, subtract 35 equals 30x squared plus 110x subtract 40. Now when I go to combine my 30x squares, since they're both the same, it's going to put us back to a linear equation, because that'll subtract to be 0 on both sides. So we have negative 5x subtract 35 equals 110x subtract 40. I'm going to move my 5x to 110x. So we have negative 35 equals 115x subtract 40. We're going to add our 40 to get 5 equals 115x. And now 115's with x, so when we divide, we're going to have a fraction. I'm losing my ink. The lead. So this is going to reduce down to 1/23. So we have the absolute value of 2x plus 3 plus 3 equals 10. So the first thing we do when we're solving absolute value equations is to go ahead and get it so it's just the absolute value equals something. So first thing we're going to do is subtract 3. So I'd still have the absolute value of 2x plus 3 equals 7. Now then, since it's just the absolute value equals 7, we're going to have 2x plus 3 equals negative 7, and 2x plus 3 equals positive 7. And then we'd solve both. So subtract 3 here, 2x equals negative 10. Divide by 2. X equals negative 5. Subtract 3 here. We have 2x equals 4. Divide by 2. X equals 2. So our answer would be negative 5 and 2. I need a new pen. Oh, there's another piece in here. Cool. Okay. So 7, we have x divided by 6, subtract 4 equals 1. So the first thing we do is add 4. So then we have x divided by 6 equals 5. What divided by 6 equals 5? Well, we can find that out by multiplying by 6 on both sides. So x would equal 30. Interest problem. This is all 1.7 stuff, so I don't know if you've started on this yet. But when we do this, interest equals, I'm not going to have much load if I do that a lot. Interest equals principal times rate times time. So when I do this on all of these, a bank loaned out $59,000. So I have $59,000. Part of it at a rate of 13% and the rest at a rate of 5% per year. And since it's year, it told us right there, T equals 1. If the interest received, so I equals 5,670. How much was loaned out at 13%? And this is our principal. So we have P, we have 2 R's, T, and I, and we're looking for how much was here. All right, so I draw a little table. So you have principal, rate, and interest. Principal times rate equals interest. Time is 1, so I don't really put it in here because anything times 1 isn't going to change it. So you have 2 rates. We have 13%. We have 5%. First thing we're going to do is change those percentages to decimals. So instead of 13%, we're going to put 0.13. Right here, this is one of the big common mistakes I see. This is 5%, not 50%. So when you do the decimal, it's 0.05. You divide percentages by 100 to get the decimal. All right. Now then, we invested all of this money, or they loaned out all of this money. So we're going to say X percent, or X part of 59,000 was loaned out at 13%. And I'm leaving just X with 0.13 because that's what I have to find. So this one would be 0.13X. Now everything I didn't loan out right here is going to be loaned out at 5%. So I'm going to do 59,000 subtract X, because it's the total amount they loaned out. So if I added these two together, it'd just be the 59,000. So then on this one, we'd have 0.05 times 59,000 subtract X. And I know when I add these two together, it's going to equal my interest, which is $5,670. So now I can set my equation. I'm going to have 0.13x plus 0.05 times 59,000 subtract x equals 5,670. And now we're going to distribute that 0.05 with a calculator. So 0.05 times 59,000. So I have my 0.13x still plus 2,950 subtract 0.05x equals 5,670. I'm going to combine my x's, so 0.13x subtract 0.05x would be 0.08x. Right. Plus 2,950 equals 5,670. Now we're going to subtract 2,950. So this is 0, so we have 0.08x equals 2,720. And we'll divide by our 0.08 to get x alone. So x equals divided by 0.08, 34,000. And since this went with our 13% up here, this one would be 34,000. So I think I'm going to break this review into 3 sections since that one took so long. But right here, remember the square root of a negative cannot equal a negative, because the whole reason we have a square root of a negative is that imaginary number. So a negative cannot come out of a square root. Cannot, we'll say, result from the square root of a negative. All right, solve the equation by factoring. So first we'd have to distribute. So we'd have x squared subtract 9x plus 18 equals 0. Then we need factors of 18 that add to get 9. So we have 6 and 3. Now whichever number is larger is going to get that first sign. I'm saying it wrong on this one, y'all. Since this is a plus sign, they both get this first sign, because that's the only way we'd have a plus sign at the end. They both have to be the same to give us a plus sign. A negative times negative is positive. A positive times positive is positive. But a negative times a positive is a... Okay, so we have x subtract 6 times x subtract 3 equals 0. And then remember, when we go to set these to solve them, it's x subtract 6 equals 0. X subtract 3 equals 0. So what subtract 6 equals 0? The positive 6. What subtract 3 equals 0? Positive 3. All right, I'm going to stop this video so they don't get too long.